This is a Microsoft Lumia 640 XL. Yes, it's seen better days, but regardless, this has to be one of the most user-friendly smartphone operating systems to ever be created. Better than anything during its time. Dare I say, still better than the current offerings. And here is why. Windows Mobile was undoubtedly the most efficient operating system on the market. Efficiency being it ran very smoothly on even the most inferior of hardware. Phones with less than a gigabyte of RAM and a dual-core CPU still put out smooth animations. Because it was so light, it made it compatible with quite a range of devices with varying hardware specs, from these 1GB budget phones to the top-of-the-line 3GB RAM flagships in the Lumia 950s. Also, isn't it really crazy that 7 years ago, flagships had 3GB of RAM and now the standard is 8? But this aspect of Windows Phone did something pretty interesting. It made the experience of every Windows Phone the same. For day-to-day use, you could not tell between a $180 phone and a $650 one. They all worked in a very similar looking and feeling manner, and that was the Windows Phone experience. It didn't end there. The Windows Phone collected heaps of style points when it came to the design of their UI. They arranged menus and buttons in an entirely different way to what Android and iOS were doing at the time. A fresh take on user experience. Of course, we had live tiles that gave a glimpse of information from certain apps, and these were also quite customizable in how you could move them around and resize them. They looked cool. The whole list of apps was just a swipe to the left, and you could scroll down to find the app you need or search for the app in the search box right at the top. The physics when live tiles are animating or when scrolling again was just a fluid and pleasurable experience. Remember, this here is a phone with 1GB of RAM and a bottom tier Snapdragon 400 CPU, but look! The UI focused on reachability, so if you needed a button for something, it was placed at the bottom close to your thumb. So you see this in the browser where the search bar and the tab switching buttons are on the bottom. Same with the calendar options like adding a new event and even the menu options in the Photos app. All these necessary buttons are placed at the bottom where they are easy to reach without any hand gymnastics. The messaging app is a real highlight for me, and I think every messaging app must really consider this design choice. When you enter into a chat, the column on the right of the screen shows thumbnails of all your chats, and the genius in this is that you could just with one tap jump into a different chat rather than what we're accustomed to where you have to tap to hide the keyboard, then another tap to exit the current chat, and a third tap to enter into the different one. Honestly, this is very brilliant thinking and good design. Something that a few people, including me, noticed is just how nice the Microsoft keyboard was to use. It did and probably still does a better job at making you type with the least amount of typos. And this is before the autocorrect even kicks in, just accurately predicting and detecting the letter that you're clicking onto on the display. It was desirable, a different take from what Android and iOS were offering at the time, something fresh and unique, and for a new player in the smartphone mobile OS market, they hit hard with Windows Phone. It was cool. So why did it die? If Windows Phone was this great new mobile operating system, then why did it die such a rapid death? We can look at the early days of Windows Phone 8 and Zune, which was essentially the iTunes of Windows Phone. Windows Phone was trying an ecosystem style of approach to managing files on the Windows Phone, something that may have had some traction if the Windows Phone was marketed as a premium product. With how music is a fundamental part of the smartphone experience, Zune added a very complicated step towards making music portable. This made Windows Phone more difficult to use and tough to recommend in its earliest of days. Zune was eventually killed off with the introduction of Windows Phone 10, but some confidence points had already been lost there. And like the iPhone, the early versions of Windows Phone had no Bluetooth file sharing. Bluetooth was only available for connecting to Bluetooth accessories like wireless headphones, and that was it. But the biggest nail in the coffin was apps and the expectation of more from the biggest software company in the world. There was a big assumption from a majority of the population that since the phone ran Windows, it meant that the apps I can run on my Windows computer can also work on my Windows phone. Yes, it was a dumb thought, but we all thought that. And Windows has plenty of executables available for PCs. As a result, the majority of people bought Windows phones thinking it's a Windows computer that can fit in their pockets, which it definitely was not. Of course, you had popular Microsoft apps preloaded onto the smartphones, but that was as far as Windows PC apps on the Windows phone went. And then on top of that big disappointment, we started seeing that a majority of the apps on iOS and Android were nowhere to be seen here as well. And so, without good app support, the Windows Phone became undesirable, compounded by the fact that app developers were not able to bring in these more popular apps fast enough to the Microsoft Store. So in the end, Windows Phone failed to excel at being the pocket-friendly computer it was thought to be, as well as being a competent alternative to Android and iOS. A case of amazing execution of UI, but terrible experience from just the lack of app support. I have to say I did and still do appreciate the work Microsoft put into Windows Phone software. It's an absolute joy to use, both in aesthetics and in function. It was so good that I remember downloading a Windows Phone skin for my Symbian-based Nokia 603 back in the day. A testament to how much I appreciated the work put into the Windows Phone UI. So, did you own a Windows Phone? If so, what did you love about it? And why did you end up leaving it? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.